Hey, welcome back. Bushy Maape has been announced as the new premier candidate for the ANC in the Northwest. Maape replaces Job Mokgoro, who is yet to tender his resignation. Political intrigue. Let me take you to eNCA's Aviwe Mtila, our senior journalist, who's been tracking that particular story. So, Aviwe, the long and short of it is, the ANC says we are hiring, but a vacancy hasn't arisen yet.
In fact, I'm outside the Northwest Provincial Legislature where there aren't any vacancies here at this stage. We heard that announcement by the Interim Provincial Committee of the African National Congress in the Northwest Province, mentioning that it's sacking Job Mokgoro in place of party veteran Bushy Maape. But here we hear there are no vacancies. In fact, in speaking to the sources earlier on in the morning, they've suggested that Job Mokgoro hasn't resigned as yet. But I want to get that confirmation from the Provincial Legislature itself. Joining me is the spokesperson, and thank you for joining us at eNCA. But have you gotten that signed resignation from Premier Job Mokgoro?
At this moment, we haven't received any resignation from Premier Mokgoro or any of the members of the Provincial Legislature as the office of the Speaker.
Okay. We understand there are no vacancies at this stage, so if he was to resign, what would then need to happen? What are the process then would ensue in order for Bushy Maape to be instated, as we heard from yesterday?
Well, Mr. Maape is not a member of the legislature, and then if Premier Mokgoro is to resign, there should be a vacancy. I'm not sure whether he's going to resign as a premier and a member of the legislature or what is going to happen. I really don't know. But there should be a vacancy, and then once there is a vacancy, the party that has got a vacancy will then notify the Speaker and the Secretary to the legislature about the vacancy so that the necessary and then indicate who will be the replacement. And then once we have received that kind of communication, the processes of gazetting the name of the new candidate or the new list from the party will be gazetted, and then once the member is now part of the list, the Speaker will then convene and then call the member to her chambers to swear him or her in as a member of the legislature.
Okay, but as yet, Premier Job Mokgoro is still the Premier. Has he even spoken to the legislature as yet? I mean, just at 2 o'clock, we're expecting the weekly eNCA government meeting to take place. Will he even chair that?
Well, because he has not resigned yet, it means he will chair the ex-committees. He remains a Premier until he has resigned. There's no way that he cannot chair the meetings if he has not resigned, as far as I understand how these things works. But we have not received any communication from the office of the Premier today, so...
Okay, thank you very much. The spokesperson of the Provincial Legislature stating that they haven't received any communication from the office of the Premier. In fact, Job Mokgoro is expected to chair that eNCA government meeting, weekly meeting that happens at 2 p.m. As that announcement came in yesterday from the Interim Provincial Committee of the African National Congress, saying that he'll be replaced by Bushy Maape. Remember that the Northwest Province hasn't seen a Premier finish his 5-year term in the last 12 years. Dating back from 2009 when Maureen Modiselle was the Premier, only for a year for her to be redeployed as an ambassador. Thandi Modise came in 2010 up until 2014, where Supra Mahumapelo took over till 2018. Job Mokgoro came in. I remember those chaotic scenes where even President Cyril Ramaphosa had to come down himself, where then Job Mokgoro was instated in an interim position up until he was instated in a more permanent basis, up until we heard yesterday that he has been sacked. But as it stands, he has not been fired. In fact, there was chaos yesterday in the front line of the African National Congress's provincial headquarters in an insert that I put together. Just take a look at that. Chaos outside the ANC headquarters in the Northwest Province as a group of about 20 Job Mokgoro supporters come out saying that he will not be removed. This is, of course, ahead of a press conference that's been called by the Interim Provincial Committee, which we understand is to remove Job Mokgoro as the Premier.
Tlhomane Chauken, his IPC They are instigating the residents of Northwest. They are instigating the voters of Northwest. We don't know why these people now they are saying Prof. Job Mokgoro must go. They must tell us what Mokgoro has done.
As the police quelled protests outside the ANC headquarters at the provincial legislature, the IPC welcomed the National Executive Committee's decision to deploy party veteran Bushy Maape as the Northwest Premier in place of Job Mokgoro.
I don't even feel anywhere that the Premier will want to take a particular position against his own party. I don't believe that he will arrive at that. Our engagement is very warm, it's cozy. With all of these challenges that we all know, and we all agree that all these challenges, organizational challenges, some of them, and we're dealing with them inside. We still have a very good relationship with him. But this is about the organization that has decided, and no one is above the organization when it comes to this one.
As it stands, Job Mokgoro is still the Premier of the Northwest as the party waits for him to tender his resignation. The Northwest Province hasn't seen a Premier finish their term in office over the last 12 years, an issue that has played out in the service delivery of Northwest. Aviwe Mtila, Mahikeng.